don't be afraid to spend the money.
If you want to scale your business, sometimes you have to take losses.
Was there like a really smart financial decision?
What is the biggest AdSense you made on one video?
It's off one video.
Oh my God.
But
What if we give you $100 million for one single video? What would be that video that you would create?
if it was me, I would buy a country.
I have a better answer. I would buy a country.
Yo, what the
So if you were the CEO of YouTube for a year, what would you do?
That's a very good question.
It's the
Driven. Welcome to Driven, the podcast where we go for a drive with some of the world's most well-known YouTubers, the ones who've turned their channels into a business.
On today's episode, we have a father-son duo who's done exactly that. Jordan and Hudson Matter.
Jordan started as a photographer and picked up YouTube in his 50s. And now he runs one of the biggest family channels on YouTube. 31 million subs, billions of views, and he even picked up a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award.
Hudson, his 19-year-old son, is also building his own YouTube empire. He has 2 million followers with 200 million views. He's building systems and he's thinking like a founder.
In this week's episode, we talked to Jordan and Hudson about everything they've done to turn their channels into thriving businesses. The creative bets, the wins, the losses, the risks, the strategy, hires, and everything that goes into helping those channels thrive.
All right, guys, let's go for a drive. Jordan and Hudson, thank you again. And we're super, super excited to have you guys here. Before we jump into your YouTube journey, we want to take you on a little adventure. And we have a surprise here in front of you. And you guys have guessed. He said it's a Mercedes and he said it's a Tesla. So we're gonna see which car it is,
Tesla's
guys.
definitely wrong.
This is actually pretty sick. Do you which one of us gets to keep it? How do we do that? Do we split it because we live together, or how?
Yeah, we'll cut it in half before you guys leave from here.
No, we can just share it.
All right, guys, so we're gonna do this reveal. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go! Woohoo!
driving for the best, turning hobby to success. It's the
Driven.
Oh, this is a Rolls Royce. Actually, I've never been in a Rolls Royce.
This looks pretty cool.
All right, I'm driving it. Do not trust Hudson. Do not trust Hudson
Rock,
to drive
paper,
it. I'm
scissors.
getting in.
Rock,
Don't
paper,
trust
scissors.
Hudson. No, I'm driving it.
Oh, it's a Rolls Royce Ghost? Oh my Lord. How much does this car cost?
This is so. I thank you so much for giving us a Rolls Royce.
I appreciate that, man.
This is amazing, actually. Hudson, I'm going to keep this. You don't get this. You can have my car.
It's okay. I drive a 2004 minivan, so it's okay.
Bye.
Bye, Chris. See you
Good luck when you
never.
drive this thing.
Yeah, I'm not. I do not trust me with that.
Hudson, you're going to be terrified to drive this car.
No, I don't.
I've driven for a couple.
Does it have like sensors?
You know how much money you have to be able to drive this and relax? We're gonna go fast. No. Let's see about the pickup.
Oh,
this got
let's
good.
go.
I need another margarita. I've only had 2 today. So if we can pull over and get a third margarita. That was a joke. When Hudson was 10 years old is when I first started talking about YouTube, right? So I guess I've been doing that 9 years now. Wow, has it been that long? Wow. And I started doing photography videos and I was posting there, was getting some traction because I was working with kind of well-known dancers from Dance Moms. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I talked to Hudson, who's always had a remarkable brain for YouTube. So I asked him his advice. And he said, if you're lucky enough to be successful on YouTube, it's because you found a lane. And if you leave the lane, people are gonna stop watching. But if you stay in the lane too long, people are gonna get bored and stop watching. Right. So the only option you have is to expand the lane while staying in it. That was his advice when he was 10. So he knew a lot more than I know now when he was 10, right? But, so that's kind of what we've done from the beginning is I was doing photography challenges and then evolving into bigger challenges and more famous people. But at some point, the pivot came with working with Salish. And then that just was a right turn. And at a certain point, I just put down the camera.
Amazing.
And that was kind of listening to Hudson's advice from the beginning and being able to do something where it was kind of consistent with what we had done before because we started by doing photo challenges with her. But it was something that was much more universal because you see a relationship between a parent and a kid and it gave us much more longevity.
Yeah, and like the fun challenges that you guys do together, like it's so fun to watch, like to have that kind of dynamic because a lot of times, kids are scared of their parents.
Could you just please convince Hudson to be in more of my videos, please?
Yes,
I'll be like, Hudson, you want to be in a
Hudson.
video? And he'll be like, yo, bro, I got a lot of meetings today.
Oh, now I'm scared.
I just wanted to get. I wanted. They're like, what?
You sure you were kidding about the margaritas?
Yeah, he's not.
I was kidding about the margaritas. I don't even drink, especially in the daytime. All right. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so let me ask you, let's say I give you $100 million budget for one single video. What is that video that you would create?
For me, I don't think the $100 million or $100 would dramatically change the number of views we'd get. And the reason is because we don't do those kind of videos. The audience doesn't care if we're spending money or not or how big it is. They want to see kind of interpersonal connections and challenges. So would I take a spaceship to Mars or something? Like, no, I wouldn't. I actually wouldn't. What I would do is if I had to spend $100 million, I would make it the most incredible vacation that we could go on and then use that as an excuse to make a video, to be totally honest. Because for me at this point, it's just all about the experiences that we get to have together. I'm not joking. I'm not saying it's not a talking point. I know it's a cliche, but I recognize this is a limited time. I'm dependent on them for my content. It's not like I can continue on with these kind of videos if neither of them are in it. So I'm dependent on how long they want to do it, right? And so for me, I know that there's more videos behind us than ahead of us in this capacity. So I'm very aware of the fact that each week that I get to do this, I want it to just be special and fun and memorable. And if that happens, if we leave the video, for example, a shoot and say, that was fun, I don't even care how the video does. But the fact that it was fun will make it a good video.
Absolutely. And we can see that as audience. Yeah. I can see you're having a lot of fun. Salish is having a lot of fun.
Right, so we can have just as successful video in Target as we could in Paris. More so in Target, probably because it's more relatable.
Right. But
if I had $100 million, Hudge, could you imagine the plane we would rent? We would rent the biggest plane and fly it to the biggest yacht, and it would be super wasteful, and we would do it because we had to spend the money anyway. Or a much better way to do it would be just to take all $100 million and give it to people who need it, and then make a video about doing that.
I would, if it was me, I would buy a country.
Can you ask me the question again?
No, don't switch to mine.
I'm not going to do anything like that. Could you ask me a question? I have a better answer now.
Yeah.
No, wait.
I have a better answer. It's okay. Go ahead.
What if we give you $100 million for one single video? What would be that video that you would create?
I would buy a country.
Yo, what the?
Right? And with that country, I would then...
Wait, stop.
I feel like I've heard that answer before.
I hate it. I was like,
Hudson, have you?
Like, this is why, I shouldn't even do podcasts. I'm like, I would go on a really expensive trip or give it all away. And he's like, buy a country. It's such a better idea.
Wouldn't that be so cool, though?
Can I Uber back?
Oh my God, me too, actually. Let's go in the Uber.
We'll take an Uber. Let's have fun.
You can come sit here.
All right, here we go. Oh boy. We are in
Rolls-Royce Ghost.
Right? Yeah. We're in a Rolls-Royce Ghost, and
What's up? It's just a Tuesday. What can I say? I feel like. Oh gosh, this is terrifying. I'm just like, I feel like I'm learning to drive again. Straight.
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
Should we test the acceleration?
Hudson, are you nervous to drive this car?
What's this?
No, Hudson, stop. Actually, speed bump.
Yeah, I see the speed bump.
I don't know about this. Okay, let's not. No, Hudson. Okay. Wow, he just ran over there.
I didn't. It was all yellow.
So let's say you guys exchange your channels for 1 week. What is that one video you would go and delete on each other's channel?
Wait, we could delete one video on somebody else's channel?
Oh no, you can on Hudson's and Hudson can on yours.
For me, selfishly, each one of his videos is a moment in his life.
Oh, that's
And
so
I
nice.
I like that that's recorded.
And I love your videos too, by the way. What you've been able to accomplish in such a young age. When I was 18, I didn't know anything.
I mean, I think what's really cool about his videos is he's done a lot of travel videos. Like, we'll be at home, and he'll just casually mention, I'm going to Paris tomorrow. And he'll just fly to Paris to make a video, then fly from there to somewhere else in Europe, and then fly back. And so, first of all, I think that's super cool, especially for a young guy like that to be doing that, having employees, all that. But I also think it's really awesome that you're getting that travel kind of documented for later in life. I'm all about the memories.
Awesome. You're driving great, Hudson. I'm giving you.
At the end, you're gonna tell us which one of us is a better driver.
Both were good.
No, you're gonna have to pick someone. This is YouTube. Everybody wins or loses.
Yes, that is true. Okay, so let's see if Hudson can park and get through the lane.
Oh no! Oh,
Definitely.
Oh, is he gonna go back to the back?
what is the matter with you?
I'm always driving. So I think it's very like I respect it and I'm proud of him for being so independent. But I also want to help him as a dad, and he won't accept it. So it's frustrating, but I also appreciate it.
But you gave him the best skills of having YouTube channel. I think there's
Like I said from the beginning, he taught me about that. So I can't really take credit for anything he knows about YouTube. So as of now, he hasn't.
But at least being a YouTuber and like actually looking up to you and being.
I don't know if he looks up to me so much. I would just say, for the most part, he's independent. It's almost like we're not related. And I would like to be a little bit more like a part of his journey since I do it too. But he's kind of determined to do it on his own.
All right, let's lock in. Ready?
All right, Hudson. So this is your true test now.
I got this.
Let's see.
The test is not just this part. This part is not that hard. The test is the turn you're gonna have to make when you get to the end of it.
Oh my! I know, and that dumpster is right on the.
Yeah, the dumpster's right there. This is hard.
Awesome.
All right, so who got the better? Who did better?
I think I have to go with Hudson.
Can I just say, can you guys replay that weak high five? He gave me a limp-fisted high five. Give me the high five.
Dude, high fives are very like 2010. High fives are Obama first term. All right, we did it.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed.
Thank you. We made a few wrong turns, but it's okay.
And before we continue, we would like to give a big shout out to our sponsor today, FunMates, who's helped make this episode possible. If you're a creator looking to grow your channel today, then FunMates is the perfect solution for you. They give you capital to scale your business, to invest in production, and to build your team. So check out FunMates today and start scaling your channel.
All right, awesome. Let's get started. Jordan, Hudson, welcome to the Driven Podcast, where we dive into the business on YouTube and everything it takes to run one. So we know that your channel got started with photography, so we don't need to kind of go back through all of that here. But one thing that we love to start with is, when did building the channel move from maybe a hobby to feeling like a true business?
Wow. That was a while ago.
We got a bunch of these.
I don't think I didn't know you could make money on YouTube until after we had 100,000 subscribers. So we were not monetized. We just were doing it to get the original idea was Sandy, who's the head of production now, said to me, if we could make a YouTube channel and get 10,000 subscribers, then you get access to the YouTube studios for free in Chelsea, New York. So we did that to try and get 10,000 subscribers, not thinking we ever could get there. And then once we found a formula that took off, then we started getting views before we understood what that meant. I was at a party in Brooklyn, and some guy was looking at the YouTube and saying, wow, like, how much are you making? I'm like, what do you mean?
Like, I could do that?
I had no clue. Why didn't you tell me? You probably knew it.
I had no clue. I was what?
So much money has been lost. You could have gotten your own Rolls Royce.
So, so in the beginning, you're not making money. Mm-hmm. You're doing it as a passion project, as a hobby. When was there a single indicator revenue milestone? Was it the first dollar? Was it something else that made you go, okay, like, let's go all in on this, or let's put more energy into this?
It was a combination of views increasing and revenue, but primarily views, because the idea that we could reach that many people was shocking to me. So there were a couple of milestones that didn't have anything to do with revenue. Actually, revenue's really never driven it for me. It's always been about the creative part. The first milestone was getting a million views on a video, which was just mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. It blew my mind. It was it was just a photo shoot with someone in the middle of the street for a 1-minute video.
Was that in New York?
Yeah, it was in New York. And it started with all photo challenges, mainly with people who nobody knew about. They were like ballerinas and stuff, because I was a dance photographer. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was we went to Australia, Sandy and I, to create some content. And we got into Melbourne, and then this bus pulled over, and all these kids were like smashing the windows and screaming. I was like, what is going on? I was like, look, what's happening? I had no idea that was for me.
Oh my
because
God.
We had just been making videos and staying in our own little bubble. And then when we went out somewhere that wasn't New York, suddenly I realized a continents away, there's a huge busload of kids that all knew who I was. So then that really kind of represented the reach. Do you remember when we came back? And then we went to Times Square, and it was that same thing. Yeah, And then Hudson and I did a video in Times Square together, and it happened that we picked a location where there were it was like a middle school or high school or something, I think. High school, I think. They were all doing photos, class photos, and they all knew who I was. And so there was a sudden recognition, like this has happened quickly and I didn't see it coming. And I think those two things excited me more than the revenue. Because I was already making good revenue as a photographer, so I wasn't really focused on that. It was more about the reach.
What was the team like at that stage of the channel building? You and Sandy?
Yeah.
Just you guys?
Yes.
You're the editor.
No, he was.
He was. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
I was doing the ideas and I was on camera.
And how did you meet
directing.
Sandy?
Remember?
I have no clue.
I was doing a photo shoot and he reached out to me. He wanted to film it, and he came and he filmed it really well. And so we would do videos from time to time and put them on Vimeo.
Yes, of course. And
Yeah. And then eventually we ended up turning it into YouTube. And again, it was his idea. And I had no idea anything about YouTube.
yeah, I heard your podcast where you said like Hudson and Sandy actually told you to start putting your stuff on YouTube, and of course you just like blew up from that.
So Sandy suggested we do YouTube. Hudson, can you just tell me, because I'm confused about this. How did you know so much about YouTube? at that
Yeah,
age? He was
actually.
10.
Great question.
And you weren't doing YouTube.
No, I was. I think it was a lot of it was just like obsession with. I guess when I was at school, like a lot of my friends were just like obsessed with YouTube, so I would kind of be surrounded by that. And this was during the days of like Casey Neistat, Logan Paul, David Dobrik were just like huge inspirations. So I guess learned through there.
Well, yeah, okay. But I know your friends. I was there.
Yeah.
So I saw their obsession. Their obsession was with fame.
Sure.
Your obsession was with analytics. And I think that that's an interesting distinction there. I don't know that you've ever sought or had interest in fame, but it seems like you're very, very interested in like the
Well, I guess that's how it kind of came about. It was very more so like I wanted to be cool because I was not very like popular when I was younger. So I was like, oh, all these kids are into YouTube and they watch it, so like maybe I can try. And then I watched it, and even a few of my friends like made YouTube channels. And then I did, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I guess I just stuck with it longer. But I think I learned a lot of it through trial and error, and then also just through basic research. But the truth is, I have no clue how I know.
Okay.
it's really an instinct thing more than anything, I
Yeah.
think.
So you started your channel before yours.
No. This was probably, I was 13 when I started the channel that currently exists. And then I made videos like for fun when I was like 10 or 11 with other friends.
So I've got a very, very random question for you, Hudson. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color? Oh gosh, turquoise.
Okay, can we get some turquoise action here? Got a little reveal for you.
And here you go.
I love it.
This is a critical moment in the show. A lot of our viewers are going to be creators who are maybe on the rise, trying to figure out how to build a business. So sounds like in the early days, Sandy was a major catalyst because he was bringing to you knowledge that you didn't know, and also some expertise around editing and getting things up there. We want to know about the next phase of when you knew you needed to bring on extra help, and who was that help? It maybe doesn't need to be individually the person, but what was the role, and how did it change things for you guys?
Wow. What was the first? I mean, we did that for so many years. And so he was the editor, always the editor, and he would do it all himself. So the first thing was to get him some editing help, because as the videos got bigger, and he was filming them, and he was also in pre-production creative meetings, meaning he and I were the creative meetings. And then I would throw out ideas, and I would decide what to do, and then I would direct while we were filming. But he was the one that was filming it and then editing. At that time, it was one camera, 2 audio. So I would have audio, and then the dancer would have audio. And he would sync all that. He did everything. So the first thing was he hired a couple of people to help him with post-production. And then he hired a couple of shooters. All the hires initially were on the production side. Eventually, I brought on a creative person who became the creative director. I think Rowan might have been my first hire. I mean, in all seriousness, Hudson was never a hire, but he was a creative partner before I had any other creative partners. So I would talk to him more than Sandy about ideas often. And then he was like, growing up and doing his own thing. And so I'd say production is the first thing to get, right? You want to, and then the question becomes like, what is your aesthetic as a creator? Right. Are you a well-produced channel, or are you a vlog channel? Are you, an iPhone channel? Like, I think that's important. The one thing I'd say for any creator, invest in audio first. Like you can use a phone.
Right.
But you don't need a fancy camera. But if you have bad audio, it really takes you out of it.
And then I always feel like being a YouTuber is like having a startup. Like you just explained, you have to hire so many people. It's not like a one-person game like Instagram or TikTok could be. You could just kind of do everything on your own. But in YouTube, you have thumbnail. I'm sure you have a different guy for that.
But you can do that all on your own. I think that we did it for years. It was just the two of us. So, I mean, for many years. I'd say 3 years at least before we hired anyone.
And when did it change? Was it a revenue number?
No, it changed when the videos got more complex. Okay. Neither Sandy or I wanted to waste any money on hiring anyone. Like it wasn't like we were killing it. We weren't making $100,000 a month or something. Right? Like we were making money. I had already a photography career, and I was trying to balance those two things. I didn't want to give up the photography career because I didn't know if YouTube would last. So we were very frugal about what we were doing. So you can do it all completely on your own. It's really just about consistency and about by consistency I mean posting consistency, but also creative consistency. Like you should make videos that all look equally good.
We're talking about team. Team is critical for building any business. Was there an early maybe hiring or kind of investment in team decision that in retrospect you wouldn't make again, knowing what you know now?
You should answer that question.
Love to hear from Hudson.
Oh, wait, why?
Because, well, I think your new hires are more recent. And you've had a couple of, I don't know where you're at in terms of like what you want to talk about, but I think your hiring journey is interesting. I mean, you were 17 when you had your first hire, right?
Wow, that is so incredible, by the way.
So he's 17, he's hiring somebody.
That is amazing.
And the person is twice his age. So I'm interested in that dynamic. And when you decided to hire somebody.
I've always seen YouTube in more of a business sense than I think he has at some way. So I thought it just made sense to scale quicker. So I hired someone to basically just run all the stuff I didn't want to do. So like editing, or just that I was like terrible at. So like editing and videoing, just having someone consistent so I didn't have to freelance work. Or
so wait, you hired that was the same person, right?
Yes.
So he hired a Sandy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, more or less. And then I probably did like 30 or 40 job interviews for that before I found someone that was good. And I mean, yeah, we've worked together for like 2.5 years. And
how did you find him?
I found him on a website called youtubejobs.com.
Yes.
A
shout out. I didn't create it, but it's a cool website.
YTjobs.com?
YTjobs.com. But anyway, so I found him through there, and it was a good match. He lived probably like an hour by me, and then basically what we did, I mean, I was still in school, so basically what we did is like once a week, I'd get off of school maybe like 1 p.m., and then he'd come over at 1:30, and then we'd just shoot from like 1:30 to like midnight.
Wow.
And then we'd do that once a week, and the videos would be like, you know, one camera, one audio device, and then we'd be editing them together, and then we'd create it would basically be like we'd shoot on Tuesday, so we'd come up with the idea Sunday, and then the creative outline Monday, and then shoot on Tuesday.
Wait, that's a very fast turnaround, really?
Yeah, that's really fast.
You would do it in 48 hours?
Yeah.
What happened to Wednesday through Saturday?
Editing, and then also planning like new concepts and things. So I did that for like 2 years straight, but that was also prior to me like editing videos like myself, which I was terrible at, for 3 years straight. So, I mean, my recommendation honestly is just like, if you have the money, then, you know, if I spent, you know, probably like $150K for maybe like $120K for like 2 years of his employment. And then I made back more than that, sorry. But like, you know, 100 or 150K, somewhere in that range. And then I probably made back like 400 to 500 just based on that hire. So it's like, I just think if you can spend more money, because a lot of people are apprehensive, but it's like, you know, it's kind of like running ads. If you run an ad and you put $10 in and then you make $15 in sales, it just makes sense.
This is great. This is exactly what we were hoping to learn from you. So
I mean, I was young, so I was 17.
I love it.
But I was like, I did not know anything about hiring people. I was a teenager. I was in like high school, so I like had no clue. And I knew it was a very competitive industry. Like if you talk to any creators, you guys probably know, like they're always looking for editors, they're always looking for camera people, they're always looking for creative people.
Right.
And it's hard to find.
Quick question on the hiring process. You interviewed 40 people. What stood out about the person that you ended up bringing on? Because you've got the experience, you've seen your dad's channel grow, so you've probably seen maybe wins or losses there. How did you know that person, and nobody can be sure, but how did you know that that was the one to pull the trigger on?
Great question. I think, I mean, a lot of the people I interviewed I'd be like, all right, you sound great. You know, where are you based? And they're like, Chicago. I'm like, no, I said it has to be in LA.
Location.
Because that's one of the issues with like YouTube is everyone's so young in the industry. It's a very new industry. So because of that, they don't know how to read job descriptions, or people are from overseas or whatever. But so that was a big part of it. Maybe like 10 or 15 of the people were in LA. Also, I think a lot of it was just his obsession with YouTube. So like he was genuinely, he still is, but like very, very smart, and also just cared a lot about YouTube. He's been in YouTube since like the Smosh days and has been learning a lot. So for me, I look for almost 3 qualities when hiring people. I'll be like, how trainable are you? So are you okay to like take new information and then utilize it quickly? Are you already passionate? And then are you already knowledgeable? And he was checked all 3 of those boxes. Plus,
do you
That's
like
very
being a
smart.
manager?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it depends. I'm not necessarily the best at it, but I hope to be better.
And we also heard that you started your own consulting business
Yeah,
for
yeah.
brands. I mean, talk us through. Like
Next Wave, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. You guys did research.
Do you use the same team, or it's like separate
well,
entities?
kind of. So right now, I mean, yeah, so that's like my number one priority. I'm basically building like a consulting brand for celebrities and brands on YouTube. So building out their brands, and we can talk more, or building out their channels, and we can talk more about that. But yeah, that's like the main goal right now. And in terms of like right now, I'm pretty much doing it all myself and this is something I actually didn't want to bring up, but I think one thing I have noticed recently, or tried to learn about more recently, is the idea of like, if you want to scale your business, sometimes you have to take losses. So in terms of like, let's say because one of my goals is I want to be like super, super wealthy at a young age, right? And I don't want to maximize it, but like, that's like one of my goals, right? So if for me, I'm like, okay, if I was making, hypothetically, let's say like $500,000 a year on YouTube, right? And then let's say I were to be like, okay, but how scalable is that really? It's like you look at you and you're one of the top creators in the world, but it's like, okay, if you have super, super high ambitions, maybe YouTube and being in front of the camera isn't the way to do it as much as like a full-on agency, right? So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to basically take a loss for a year in revenue, which I have. And so like this year, I'm just going to build up like an entire, like my goal is to build like a really full-fledged like agency that can scale, and then hopefully it will make a lot more money. But I had to go through that loss period, so kind of a tangent, but that was just something I've learned about recently. So right now I'm pretty much just doing like everything myself. But yeah, I want to hopefully start hiring people in terms of just like the content side for it and things like that in the next like 3 months.
That is so cool, actually. I totally agree to like scaling individually is so much more difficult than scaling for everyone, and you can take a percentage. And especially celebrities do not have good YouTube channels.
Yeah,
They don't.
And
No.
now
Right.
that YouTube is the biggest streaming platform in the world, I also heard your podcast where you said like, you're able to build relationship with the YouTuber because there's a 20-minute long video on their live.
Right.
It's not the same with like TV or OTT
Yeah.
and all that. So now YouTube, I know, especially from India and Bollywood, now they are actually releasing one of their movies on YouTube.
Right. Yep.
Because they don't want distributors, they don't want to pay people for no reason where YouTube is already there. So you're like on such an amazing path to
Thank
get
you.
these celebrities out
It's
there.
a huge, huge opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
But I think what's also interesting about what you just said, that a lot of people that are probably watching your podcast might be stuck in this situation he's somewhat stuck in. If you think of his job as YouTube and now his ambition as his consulting company, then he's basically pulling back on YouTube, and there goes the revenue, so that he can build a consulting business. I'm sure a lot of people watching are wondering at what point do you stop doing whatever it is that's bringing you revenue, your day job or whatever, and commit 100% to YouTube. So it's a hard decision, right? Because he knows that if he was putting time into videos right now, in the short term, you would be making a lot more money. And if your ambition is to be wealthy, it's hard to say, well, I want to be wealthy and here's like low-hanging fruit money waiting for me. The more videos I make, the more money I'm going to make, but I'm going to
Right.
stop doing all that. And I think
Yeah.
that's consistent with what people think when they're, like, you only have so many hours in a day. So if you have a 9 to 5, 9 to 7 job, how are you supposed to also create content, but the job doesn't make you happy, or it's not making you as much money as you would hope, and you want to make that leap? So how do you know when to do that?
And that's the problem. But one of the things that we had outlined is what we wanted to ask you about was about opportunities, where there's a fork in the road and you've got to make a decision one way or another. How do you guys think about that right now? You just outlined a really good example with what you're going through right now, Hudson. Maybe Jordan, is there any examples of the past where you feel like, that was critical? Thank God we did that. It led to X, Y, Z.
I had a months-long waiting list as a photographer, so I was making good money, and I was trying to do YouTube consistently, and we've always been consistent. We've posted every week, almost every week since we started
Every
8
Saturday,
years ago.
right?
It was Thursdays, now it's Saturday.
Wow.
Since we started, I mean, we've missed the occasional week, but Hudson can tell you I'm obsessed. He makes a joke. Look, guess what? The world's still spinning, and you didn't post, right? Because to me, it's consistency is so important.
Discipline.
But consistency breeds discipline, right? If you commit to the consistency, you will have to be disciplined. And the biggest place that creators fall off is they start getting distracted. Like, oh, now I have opportunities. Oh, I'll go do this. I'll go do this. Wait, I have money. I'll go on vacation. And they stay away from the consistency. They stop being consistent, and the audience goes away. There's just too much content out there, right? You've got to keep feeding them. The way I look at it is, Friends would have never taken a week off randomly. You wouldn't turn on NBC at 8:30 and go like, wait, where's Friends?
Yeah.
For those of you who are under 50, Friends was a really popular sitcom back in the day.
Yeah, even for me, it's super
Seinfeld
popular.
is better. Friends
And
is good.
Seinfeld is good.
Friends
too.
is very mid.
So I had to make a decision. And so what was happening is my commitment to YouTube was starting to pull away from my photography business. I was missing deadlines. I was having to cancel on clients. I was having to travel to the collaborators because the channel's always been built on collaboration. So they weren't all in New York at all. I had to go everywhere. And I had to make a choice at a certain point. And I was making more money in photography than I was in YouTube, for sure. And I love photography, so it wasn't like I was unhappy. And I built this out of nothing, from nowhere. I built this incredible business. So to walk away from that, knowing that I couldn't go back, there were 100 photographers ready to take all those clients I had. They were ready, and I knew they wouldn't be there if I left. That was a very difficult decision, and I prolonged it as long as possible, and I tried to double dip as long as possible. And eventually I had to say, no, I got to go full steam on this. And then that's also when we went from New York to LA. Because if I'm going to give up on my photography business, then there's no reason to be in New York anymore. At this point, go to LA where all the collaborations are.
Right. All the creators live here.
That's scary, and you took a massive risk.
It is. It's a wonderful risk. I think it's a bigger risk if you have a job, a family, you don't know if you'll be able to feed them. Like, I already knew I was making enough. I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't. The way I look at it, Hudson and I are different. Like, he's optimistic. Like, he looks at the high end of his revenue, and I look at the low end of my revenue. So it's like, I made X, so therefore I can do Y. I'm like, yeah, but you might not make X next month. He's like, no, I'm going to do it, right? So that's one attitude. That's very entrepreneurial in a way.
Yeah.
For me, I think, okay, what's the lowest? So we've made this. So let's say 25% lower than this is all we'll ever make again. Will I still be able to feed my family and have a home? And if the answer to that is yes, go for it. And that, because I just didn't want to. It felt like at that point we were at a high point where I did it. It actually now looks like an extreme low point, but at that point it looked like a high point.
Wow, that is incredible. Like, your whole journey from moving to New York, from New York to LA, and obviously also changing and pivoting your content, which we love. Like, I wish Salish was here too, but hopefully next time we
You'll
can.
never.
Next time we get the most famous.
Good luck with that one. Salish's thing is once a week she films, right? So we film our videos on Sundays. And the rest of the week, it's not. We don't talk about it. For me, I haven't wanted my relationship with her specifically to be defined by working together. For Hudson, since we like this stuff, we like to talk about it.
Right.
So I love talking about it with him. But since she's not really deep into all the analytics and the
yes.
algorithm and all that, we try to keep it more of like a normal relationship, and then the films on Sundays.
Big thanks to this episode's sponsor, VidSummit. It's the ultimate event in the industry, happening October 7th through 9th in Dallas, Texas. The biggest names come together to share strategies, insights, and real business tactics you won't find online. Tickets are limited, so grab yours now at vidsummit.com and join us in Dallas.
So earlier you were talking about consistency breeds results, essentially, whether they're good or bad. The consistency is also about habits, process, systems. Behind every great CEO, entrepreneur, founder is some kind of system. Every business has great systems. This is something that a lot of our creator audiences are maybe starting to form or starting to experiment with, or trial and error. We'd love to know a little bit more about what it is that keeps you consistent. How did How are you able to do that on a constant basis and deliver?
Creatively consistent, you mean? Or just creative?
It's creatively, but it's also team. It's also production.
You have to, I think the sticking point, tell me if you agree, the sticking point for most people's consistency is editing. Right?
Yeah.
If the editor can't get it done every week. So I've been very fortunate. Sandy we've never missed a week due to editing, ever. And that's pretty incredible. 8 years. Now he's had to hire editors to get there, but every time YouTube moves the goalpost, 8-minute videos, 10-minute videos, now we're at 30-minute videos because it's pretty clear that the longer the video, the better they will be received, or the better they'll do. So he can't do that by himself. And then we went from 1 or 2 labs to 8 and 1 camera to 4. And so everything has gotten bigger. So he brought on more. So as long as you can stay consistent with the editing, usually you'll be able to stay consistent.
I also think you have a lot of, I don't know how much you want to touch on this, but like have a lot of challenges in terms of like the creative of each week.
Yes.
And I think part of that, just speaking on behalf of you, is, he's very involved in terms of the creative process, even more so than other stuff that he like could be allocating resources to. I think a lot of that is like just passion. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if you want to talk about
So
that.
what goes into that for you guys?
He's right. See, I think Hudson is a natural born entrepreneur.
Oh, God.
I'm a natural born creative. I'm not an entrepreneur, actually. If I was, I would have built a much bigger business with a lot more like offshoots of this because the opportunities are there. But all I can do is focus on this week's video has to be as good as it can be. And therefore, until I have like it's almost impossible to build a team creatively that thinks like you do. And it's almost like you don't want that because you want to be surprised. And we have a great creative team, but I'm still heavily invested in the creative because I really want it to be consistently good and continue to get better. So if I look at our videos from a year ago, like, it could have gotten a little deeper there, but still I look at these now and I still think we could get deeper.
You're obsessive.
Yes. And because I'm obsessive, I have a hard time delegating. And so then I take a lot of the responsibility on myself. And I think that's good and bad. I think one of the reasons I'm obsessed over why do creators go from here to here? I heard that it's a 5-year lifespan when I started YouTube. It takes you a few years to go, ride this way for a couple of years, and then you start doing this. And it's just, and why does that happen? I really think it's that they lose control over their own story and their message. I've met so many creators, very high-level creators who have such a big production team that they almost don't even know what they're doing on set when they show up.
Right.
And
They just show up like actors.
I love that idea, and I can't fathom that idea. How? How could you're telling your own personal story, right? But it becomes formulaic. Oh, this challenge, and we're going to break through this thing, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be that, and it rather than telling a personal story. I also think that longevity is about intimacy with the audience. So if your channel is a Mr. B, I think he's the exception in so many ways. Like, he does these things that are so big that he's almost breaking a lot of rules that he's setting. I don't think that that's the journey. I think a lot of young creators want to do that. They see that and they want to do that. I think the journey is more like finding a way to build a relationship within your videos that then the audience can aspire to have with you.
That is so true. And do you think like this is because creators also get to like create a burnout because they've been like you're making content for so many years, so every time coming out with something
There's
new.
There's 2 different kinds of creative burnout. One kind of creative burnout is you're doing the same thing over and over, and it's just like at a certain point you're like, oh my God, there's a formula. The other kind of creative burnout is you want to do something new every time, and your mind just isn't, it's just like not expanding enough. You're like, we've done that. And like there's only so many ideas in the universe, and so then the creative burnout. That was one of my hires also, was ideator.
Oh.
Yeah. So he used to work with Mr. Beast. His name is Harrison. We hired him to give us monthly ideas. A lot of creators do think tanks, right? You've done think tanks too for yourself and stuff.
A little
right?
bit, yeah.
Yeah, ideas, fresh ideas are super hard, which is why you see everybody copying everybody.
And part of that is building the team. It's getting that ideator, and it's in a way you did delegate though. You hired an ideator.
Well, but that was recent.
Okay.
That's
All
like
right.
this year
After
recent,
so many
right? Like a
years.
few months ago recent. That's after 8 years of shooting on Sunday, waking up Monday and going, okay, what are we going to film next week? And then it's so mentally exhausting. Now that we have more people bringing us ideas, the next thing is like, then you say, this idea is great. Now, how do we make it deep and engaging? We were looking for 50% retention with a 30-minute video. How do we get there? How many storylines can we have? And then you start, it sounded like a good idea, but you spent 2 days in creative realizing actually it's a surface idea that you can't get more than 15 minutes out of. Now we got to go back. Now it's Thursday and we still have to film Sunday because of consistency, but we don't have an idea yet. That happens all the time.
Right. And I heard you said, like, if Salish doesn't like the idea, it's
Right,
gone
yeah, and,
for a toss.
and she might nix it. Right, like, okay, so all right, then we're not doing that. Yeah, so there's a lot. It's a lot.
Awesome. So tell me this, like, how do you scale your channel? Are you reinvesting all your profit from AdSense, or like, are you taking funding? How does that work for your
Maybe that
channel?
shifted over time.
I've always been profitable because I've always kept the expenses much lower than the revenue. Initially, it was just one of us, a photo shoot. It was zero. It cost us actually 0 cents to do it, unless we bought a Starbucks in the middle of the photo shoot, right?
And your time?
Yeah, yes, but I would do my full photo shoots anyway. So I was just doing it. The thing that really sucked, just to go back, honestly, was balancing YouTube with photography meant I was home very little. And that sucked. That's I feel like I've made up for that now for the last few years, being able to work with them and we're all together all the time. But that period of time of balancing 2 full-time jobs and not being home like for dinner or whatever, like I really, I'm sad about that period of my life, but I'm happy because it took me here. But it's a big decision if it's not just you. If you have a wife, if you have kids, if you want to be with them, but then also you want to keep growing and expanding and building what you've created, but it takes the time away from the personal
Family,
stuff.
Yes. And I heard your wife was extremely supportive when
Oh,
you
she's
wanted
insane.
to.
She's incredible. She's really, really supportive. But that's great, but you're still not there, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'd still not be there. And that was a bummer.
Yeah, it weighs on you. I'm a founder with a 4-year-old, and I feel that.
Yeah, it's hard.
There's a constant sacrifice thing going on in your mind of like, do I go home? Do I do it? I got to do it.
Right. Well, I think that the thing is that it's a sacrifice unless it's successful.
Right.
The biggest
Right.
fear is that I'm going to commit to this. I'm not going to be with my family and it's going to fail. And then I'm going to look back and be like, I missed his first steps and it didn't lead to
Yeah.
anything. So it's just like, I just like failed both sides. Right. And I think that is the fear that keeps a lot of people from trying is they've already got a full day. And they have to make the money, and they have to see their family. And where's the
time?
It actually reminds. Do you guys know Alex Hormozy?
Yeah.
Big fan of him, and it's interesting because I was listening to something he said recently where he was like, people like he was talking to people who are in their 20s, and he's like, if you're talking about work-life balance, you have the wrong perspective because people talk about work-life balance in terms of like years versus decades. So if you like put all your eggs into one basket and then it works and you spend from like 22 to 32 doing that, then you can hypothetically have 32 forever for just life. You know what I mean? So there's something.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, very interesting.
So one of the, back to the kind of finance business stuff for just a couple minutes, was there like a really smart financial decision that you think you made that was a catalyst? Was it just bringing on the editor, or was there something else?
Hudson, as I've made it pretty clear, has been an advisor, and he's also kind of had this business mind. And he did say, and I've listened and agree, don't be afraid to spend the money. That the return, the ROI will be more significant. In other words, if it costs, what our budgets, I can be transparent. Our budgets sometimes are $1,000 for a video, and it can get up to $20,000. So we're not near the $100,000, and a lot of people are. A lot of people are spending 6 figures.
Yeah,
on
I heard
a
Mr.
budget.
Beast said like it takes him $3 million to create.
Yeah, but you kind of
an
have to take
outlier,
Mr.
kinda.
Beast and then never talk about him, to be honest, because he's not even an outlier. It's just like like a whole it's like a different world, and then everybody else is over here, right? And so
That also is probably why he's successful. Thinks about it better.
it's not that he thinks about it better. It's that he's
bigger.
It's that he was the first to do something extremely well, and then he had a bunch of revenue come in, and what he did is invest 100% of everything back in, right? So his unfair advantage is that he's willing to not make any money, right?
That's
And
very true.
so then, as a result, he just pours it all in, and it's very, very motivating because wow. Like, I mean,
He's
that's
showing
crazy.
there's a ceiling that keeps going higher
Yes.
and higher. Maybe it doesn't
Yes,
exist
and
at
so
all.
I think almost everybody else's fear would be, if I hit that ceiling and I made all this money and I didn't keep any of it, like that's crazy. So I'm going to start keeping some, and then you lessen the production. So I feel like for us, we have seen it doesn't always. It's not a direct correlation that if we spend more money, we'll get more views. But if the concept is a good one and it requires us to spend the money, a few years ago we would have been unwilling to spend that money. And now we're willing to spend it. So I'd say the best financial decision was taking his advice and starting to invest in bigger concept videos, because the bigger concept videos tend to get you into the algorithm more, because there's a lot of other creators that are within our demo peripherally that are doing it. And so then you ride their kind of algorithm as well. All those build videos, for example, those cost a lot of money to make, but the return is significant.
So have you ever lost money on an idea or a video? You know, you put way more than actually how much it made?
No.
Never?
No.
Wow.
No. But
Really?
yeah, on an individual
Have
video,
you?
never.
Of course.
He's lost. Tell him a couple. Like he's.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yes, let's hear it. How
gosh.
much are you losing?
Talk about the biggest loss. What was the biggest? Like traveling
Yes.
to Japan or Europe or something?
I don't know. There have been some pretty bad ones. Like last year, I think I spent a lot of money on a video I thought would do well, and it didn't do well. Like I tried to build a theme park in a school, and it was cool, but it just didn't do that well. I don't know. There are a lot of like big production stuff I'll do, but a lot of it's like from a few years ago where I wasn't as knowledgeable. I don't know. It just depends.
When you look back on that video, do you understand why it didn't do well?
Yes and no. I think yes in terms of like audience correlation and interest and things like that. No, because I thought it was a good idea. I still do. And I know that if someone else had done the same idea, it would have done well. So I think that was one of the biggest learnings for me was how, you know, I knew this to some extent, but like here, I'll go on a quick divergent. But so let's say you share an audience with someone or you think you share an audience with someone, and then they do a concept, and then you make an iteration off of it. So an example would be what I just shared, where like I share audience with like the Stokes twins or like Ben Aslard or something, right? And then they do a video that's like, we built a theme park in our house. And then I have a lot of videos that are about theme parks that have done well, and then also a lot of videos about like my first time in high school or whatever that have done well. So I'm like, okay, what if I combine them and I built a theme park in a school?
Makes sense.
So I was like, oh, this would be a perfect total no-brainer video. It costs a lot, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a high ROI. So I did it, and then it was like an 8 out of 10. Like didn't do well at all. So for me, my experience with that was like, okay, you have to think about it deeper. You have to get uber specific with not just the channels your audience shares, but like what is your actual audience?
Right.
And that was just something I did not know at all, and I just failed on. And honestly, I mean, a big part of it is like I still don't know exactly why it didn't do well, but you know.
Can I tell you one quality in Hudson that I think is incredible, and it's kind of a quality that
Glazing me
anybody
over
who
here.
wants to be a creator or an entrepreneur should have, because the highs and lows they're daily. It's not
Right.
like this was a good year. It's like this was a good hour. Right. And I don't remember what the video was, but I remember you were super psyched about it. It was going to kill. It was going to be a huge banger. It was going to be like invested time and effort, money early on too in his in your YouTube career. And this was your big idea. You put money into it and everything, and then it bombed. And I remember it was a 10 out of 10. And I saw that. I was like, oh man, this poor kid, right? He's going to be devastated. And you were, yeah, I could see it when I went in and saw you. You were really, really bummed out. I went out for a jog, and when I came back 45 minutes later, he was on the phone enthusiastically talking about the next idea with Jake, like as if that had not happened.
Yeah.
And I think that temperament, when I saw that, I'm like, he's going to be successful. I don't know when, but he's going to be successful, because if you can like get knocked down and get back up that freaking quickly,
Right.
and get right back onto the task at hand, and you can do that consistently, more important than any other quality is that get back up thing.
Absolutely.
Hudson, is that a glass half full mindset? Is that
I guess so. I don't know why.
He's very glass half full.
I don't even remember that well, but
Yeah.
But I think the number one thing to be successful is to believe in yourself, and that's what it shows. If you can just wake up and be enthusiastic again, that just means you know it's going to happen.
Right.
If not for this video, then it's like the next one.
And then the other thing is to be very open to the idea of pivoting. He's a YouTuber, he's been a YouTuber, and then suddenly like, great point. How do I scale this? Right? Imagine he becomes one of the top 10 YouTubers on the planet. He still has to be in the video in order for the video to do well. He makes a great point. His channel, his idea for his consulting company has a much better chance of being successful in 5 to 10 years than I do.
Absolutely.
Because I would have to continue to make videos. We've built this entire thing on me and my daughter, like everything. If either one of us stops, it's completely over. It's a house of cards. So it's a short-term investment, right? And then you think, okay, so how can we build something from this? And that's what he's done. He said, okay, well, I know YouTube. I have connections. I've built my own channel, so that's proof of concept. And now I can go out and do this for others, and I can build something that scales. I think having that willingness to see an opportunity and pivot to it is the reason that anybody is really successful. If you just stay in the lane and you just keep running that same lane, as he told me when he was 10, then it's just eventually the lane's going to narrow to the point where you're done. Yeah. And that is what that 5-year thing is for creators. They just don't pivot and they don't expand.
For every founder, CEO, the bigger your company gets, the more responsibility you have. Typically, I heard a CEO break it down where there's kind of like 5 things. Maybe it's finance, maybe it's product, maybe it's tech, maybe there's managerial layer or operations or something. And maybe 1 or 2 of the things that you do in the early days gives you a lot of energy and joy. And then as the things get bigger and bigger, in order to keep scaling, the things you get to do that bring you energy and joy contract. And because there's just a lot less of that you're doing because the business has to grow that way. So Hudson, what would you say that is for you? Do you have any signal yet early on where you think you get the most energy?
It's a great question. For me, I really like marketing. So I mean, that's just, I guess in comparison with YouTube, like I think marketing is like titles and thumbnails, right? So like, how can you market this video for the optimal views? And I think, so if you kind of translate to this, it's like, how can I get clients? How can I, run the most optimal ads, right? How can I get warm leads, et cetera? Like that's what I'm really obsessive about. But then also, I'm just obsessed with YouTube ever since I was like 13. So I think the fact that, I would get to in like, a year, I could get to work with a lot of big talent and transform them into YouTubers, which the reason I'm doing this is I genuinely believe that YouTube is the future, and I kind of compare it to Accenture, like the consulting company. Like I almost compare it to a startup version of that, where they got their start because they worked with a lot of these big companies during the internet boom, and then they made them like online websites, and they built out their portfolio on there and things like that. And then now they're worth like $500 billion. So for me, I don't know if YouTube has that level of scalability, but there's something to be said about, and maybe you can think about this in terms of like AI and things like that. But for me, I'm like, my knowledge is within YouTube and social media, and I think that is the future with all businesses and with all celebrities. And if I can capitalize on that and like have a monopoly, I think I'll be very successful. So that's kind of the way I see it.
Wow, that is actually pretty awesome, and I totally agree to your point. As a YouTuber, you can't scale as like you can scale as entrepreneur. You can sleep, and your money could be increasing in your bank account because you've done the work before. You guys are making insane amount of money. So I want to ask you, like, what is the biggest AdSense you made on one video, if you want to share it?
I'll pull it up so I can give you an example.
Yes, let's see it. I've never seen
so
a
we're
YouTube
about to hear the
studio,
Hudson Matter revenue.
Okay, I don't know which camera I should look at.
Yeah, can someone take a
this is
video of his AdSense?
What is it?
It's 66K off one video.
Oh my god!
But this actually didn't even get that many views.
First payment on the Rolls Royce.
This wouldn't even be enough for like a down
point
payment.
out that Hudson is 19 years old and didn't go to college and can make $66,000
on just one video, guys. Like one.
And
this was also a compilation, and this one, the reason it has made so much was because it had what was it? Yeah, it had 42% retention, and it was an hour and 5 minutes.
So were you just refreshing
your
analytics when this was going down?
No, actually no, because this was over a period of maybe 6 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't like in like a week. I've heard those stories, but no, it wasn't that crazy. But yeah, it was cool.
By the way, you can't really do these compilations anymore because YouTube has done a new policy now.
Right.
We have to keep posting original content, but the compilation model, while it was working, a lot of creators were using it. You can't overuse it, but every once in a while they take a bunch of their videos and put it into one video, and that's a much longer video. And if you did it really well, what you do is you do an original video first. So the first video, so your core audience isn't annoyed with you. You gave them a full video, and then you just add on 3 additional videos that are in that same world, that whatever that theme was. And now you've taken a 20-minute video and turned it into a 90-minute video. Right. And there's a huge fall off after the first video because people have seen the second one, but not 100% fall off. So those people keep watching. That increases your AVD to a point where your RPM goes up and you make a ton of money, potentially.
Hudson, I feel like we've got the start of a sense of your vision for what maybe the next couple of years look like, building Next Wave, scaling the channel, but maybe to your dad's point earlier, where there's some trade-offs there. What's next for you guys?
So for us, I've always wanted Salish to know that she could be done at any time, right? I've gone through a lot to make sure that she has, like, quote, normal life. She goes to school full time. She goes to gymnastics full time. She films 1 day a week. The rest of the time, she's off doing her own thing, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. And I've never really wanted to think too big because I didn't want to put too many any burden on her shoulders. But she's become more and more invested and interested in continuing. So the first big thing is that we're going to launch a product in September. And we've never done that, but we really believe in this specific product in a way that we think it's giving back to our community. And so we're comfortable doing it. And it's with a big retailer, and I think it'll be really exciting. So that's the first, like, step beyond. That's the first, scalable thing, as Hudson would say, that this will eventually be able to live on without her.
Absolutely.
And giving her the opportunity to be part of, building a brand outside of YouTube. So that's
and that's your first kind of extension of products and beyond the channel, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So how did you think about making that leap? Like, obviously, this is kind of a risky call, or outside of the norm.
It's not risky. Really. It's a good opportunity. There's a white space. I think first you have to. I think a lot of creators think I get a lot of views. I must be popular, therefore people will buy what I'm selling. And we've never wanted to go down that road. Instead, it's like, is there an opportunity for something that we think would resonate with our audience, that we feel good about selling them because it's giving back. It's something they need and would enjoy, and that we have the opportunity to line up our audience with this white space. And there's not a lot of those, to be honest. There's not a lot of white spaces anymore, but this is one of them in a way. So that it seemed like it made a lot of sense. We were able to raise a lot of money very quickly, and I'm not going to say it's going to be big. I'm just going to say that we've put a lot of effort into making it as successful as possible.
I think a lot of the creators I talk to is like, okay, how do I go beyond, especially for Instagram and TikTok content creators? And we had the merch. Kind of the merch theme for a little while, and then that fell off, and then it was custom brands, and that's only seen a little bit of success there, mostly with big celebrities. Right. What do you guys think is the combo formula where somebody could sell something to their audience? It has to be authentic.
I think you have to have some humility.
Okay.
It's really easy to get intoxicated by views and selfies,
right,
and screaming. Right? It's like I can do anything. Right, like, this is crazy. They love me. Not really. Like, they enjoy. You may have algorithm hacked. They might enjoy your content, but not really know you so well. Maybe they want the selfie because they know of you, but they're not going to stand in line to buy your thing. They don't want to wear your hoodie, right? So merch is the perfect example of you need to have a deep connection with that creator in order to want to wear their merch. Obviously, like Logan Paul was the best at that. Whereas if you say instead, what is a product that could live without me? So it's not about me. There's too many creators are like, it's me. Look at me. Aren't I great? Look at how awesome, how successful I am, right?
Yes.
And it's all about them versus I have a platform that will bring a lot of eyes to something. Right. What is that thing? But if that thing doesn't, it's a great thing whether or not I exist, and then I'm the cherry on top. So it's all about the white space and about the product itself, and less about your popularity and your views and your fans. Like, we would never use the word fan, for example, because it's too much about you're a fan of me versus you enjoy the content we create.
Exactly.
But I can't count on that to mean you'll buy something just because I ask you to.
Right. it needs to solve a need.
Humility, folks. Humility.
Hudson, what do you think on that?
I mean, I pretty much agree with everything he said. I think if you can come up with a way to scale, I mean, I almost think there's like a few ways to go about it. One is the more Emma Chamberlain, Ryan Trahan way of very personal content. The other one is more scalable, bigger productions. Obviously, there's tons of in-betweens, but I would say like if you think about those two, I think it would be a lot easier for you to scale or for you to like sell merch or products or things that people want to buy with you. Like if you see with like Ryan Trahan's Joyride candy or even like, you know, with what I think you guys will do for the mystery product. It's like, you know, I don't know. I think what they've done really well is they've been able to kind of combine them where they have obviously high production value, but then also they have very deep connection. And, you know, like there's this website that they look at that basically tracks like the most famous people in the world. I'll take your talking point because he always says this.
Surprisingly, I didn't.
Yeah, I know.
What's it called?
It's basically called Famous Birthdays,
Oh,
and it's
Famous
like
Birthdays.
it's
Okay,
like
sure.
every I don't know, teen girl from like 12 to like 17 or whatever uses it. And so with that, like over Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish or whoever the famous celebrities are, it's like Salish is number one. So it's like
Wow.
Oh my
and he's
God.
number 2 actually, which is pretty cool.
Oh,
So I'm more famous than Taylor Swift, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
wow.
But yeah, so like that's just an interesting way where they obviously have higher production value, but then they also have that intimate connection. So I think if you're able to kind of crack both, I think that's ideal.
And I think what you see, the success of Joyride is directly related to his relationship with his audience.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, micro influencers who have 100,000 followers, but the followers are really
Connected to them.
connected and committed, can sell out a product in 5 minutes. And somebody with 100 million views, and I've known them, the creators, they walk, you know, they'll go into a mall, nobody shows up, right? There is algorithm hacking. But then there's also storytelling and emotional connection. I think what Hudson's saying is the ideal is you
It's
try to get
interesting
both.
too because it brings up a thing too with like short form versus long form content.
Yes.
I was talking to someone, I won't say who they are, but they have like I think nearly 10 million subscribers, but they're pretty much all short form. And then I was talking to someone from their team and I knew they launched merch or something. So I was like, oh, how'd that go? And they sold like 5 t-shirts.
Oh, brutal.
Right? And it's
to
like
10 million subscribers.
and they get like 20 million views a short. You know, so
Yeah.
it's like an interesting thing. That being said, do short form all you want, but like it's just an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point because same with Instagram and TikTok. Now no one is famous because people are just going scrolling randomly and like algorithm is feeding you the content. It's not even like it's on YouTube. It's like you go, you type Jordan Matter.
I mean, you should think of YouTube as Netflix in a way.
Yeah.
The way I use Netflix is I want to watch something. Hudson and I want to sit down. We want to watch something. If he doesn't have an idea, I'll turn on Netflix and start scrolling to find something that interests me.
Right.
I think for the younger generation, that's YouTube. And they sit down, they just go on YouTube and say, now what do I want to see? Obviously, they're recommended what YouTube thinks they're going to see, or they search it. We have a video right now that came out, and it really tapped into our audience to the point where it's doing very well, but the search traffic is massive. And usually that means the video is not doing well. Because if search is number one, it means they can't find your video or YouTube isn't sharing it with them, so they go and they search. But in this case, it's doing so well because our core is so fascinated by this particular subject.
Oh, wow.
And as a result, they're searching it like crazy. That's also, you know, you're feeding them 30 minutes a week of them sitting in your home, right? And the analogy I like to make, because when we were about to sign on with the company that's going to launch the product, they asked me, well, why should you do it when like Ariana Grande's product failed? And I said, well, do you like Ariana Grande? And she said, of course I do. I said, okay, what's the color of her bedroom? What's the name of her dog?
Wow.
Who's her brother? And she couldn't mention any of that because it's not an intimate relationship. It's like you see Ariana on a stage. You don't expect to meet her. With YouTubers, you know everything about
Everything.
them.
You're
To be fair, though, I do think, and again, I don't want to get on too much of a divergent, but like there's something really interesting about what you said in that I remember we saw Rihanna recently at some kind
we
of
could go off on this one.
Yeah, okay.
No, but
Give us some gossip.
no, but we saw her like in just like a movie premiere, and what was so interesting is like you think of her as a celebrity, right? Versus you think of a YouTuber as a friend almost, you know what I mean? Like, okay, and I think this is a big appeal they have. It's like, oh, I want, say, like a 12-year-old girl can watch Sailor, she'll be like, oh, I want her to be my friend, or I feel like she's my friend, etc. And I think there's something interesting there. And I don't necessarily think celebrities have that same appeal, which is, by the way, one of the reasons building Next Wave, just plug there. But like, you know, and I think, however, I think there's something really interesting about the celebrity nature, which works really well for them. And I'll give you an example. Like, I'm a big Playboi Carti fan. Like, he's my favorite artist. And I went to his concert like a few weeks ago. And now part of this is because of his like mysterious nature. But like, when I saw him in real life, I was like, oh my, like, holy, right? I was like, dude, this is my favorite person. And I'm seeing him. And I wouldn't feel that way about any YouTuber. I think
the scale of celebrity is
so much greater.
But does that mean you would buy a Playboi Carti product?
I mean, I did. So yeah.
We brought merch.
Well, he wouldn't drop that. That's not him.
Okay.
But that's also a paradigm that's normal.
Right. Exactly.
And people are used to it. I think would you guys agree that with Ariana Grande as an example, or Rihanna's example, there's this big abstraction between who her character is on stage and a lot of mystery over here about what else is going on. And that is protection, and it's also part of that industry.
But what happens, and the thing with the Rihanna thing was interesting because we were there, and there was an advanced, so she was going to come and do a few interviews and then watch a movie, right? And we were one of the people that she was going to talk to. So we were like on the press side in a way in that moment. It was for a video that they had asked us to make. Paramount asked us to make it. But the interesting thing to me was there's an advanced team. Advanced team comes. They kept saying we have to clear the space. We have to clear the space. There was a whole entourage that came. There was a whole like apparatus of celebrity. There were 8 security guards around her, and I think all of it's necessary, right? But at the same time, also, it is such a disconnect,
right?
Versus us, we'll go to a mall. We just go to the mall. Now that means that there's going to be people that want photos that feel like they know you and they want to come up to you, but we're accessible. And I think that what's happened with YouTube versus celebrity is that we are seen as celebrities because we're accessible.
Right.
Whereas Rihanna is seen as a celebrity because she's unaccessible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's almost aspirational.
Yeah. She's like a goddess character in our minds.
Right.
Yeah.
So that causes a lot of clicks and stuff. But can you then move product?
Right. Because you don't have the feedback loop.
If nobody has any idea about you, why would they want to buy your trinket or whatever it is? Versus if they hang out with you every day. We found the stat that 27% of our viewers watch a video every day on our channel, at least one. And we only post one a week.
Wow.
So that means 6 days a week. They're watching old content they've seen before just because they want that personal, emotional connection. And I don't know. I mean, I think that music is the exception. I don't think that acting does that. I think music
definitely
does
not.
that. I think Sailor's with Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
She listens to it every day, and I think it gives her a certain sort of feeling. She probably feels that intimacy and that connection with Billie, much like our viewers feel with us.
I think also so sorry to cut you off.
No, go on, please.
I would just say, like, last thing about this too, I think there's something really interesting about the combination of both. And you look at someone like Hailey Bieber, where she would make YouTube videos. She's like, when I pitch people on Next Wave, like, she's a big example I use. But like, for her, she will, she made YouTube videos. She was very intimate. People know her life very closely because she shares it on like Instagram and socials and YouTube and whatever. Yes. But then because of that, but also she has like this celebrity appeal, right? She's married to Justin Bieber. She's been famous for, decades. And then so she has the Rihanna impact plus the YouTube impact.
Great point.
So she could fill out a stadium, but then also just sold Rode for like over $1 billion, or has, makes millions of dollars on the smoothie from Erewhon. You know what I mean? So there's, I think and again, not to fill up your whole podcast with Next Wave promotion, but like that's another reason, which is like, I'm so passionate about this idea because I think if you take a celebrity and then that has that, like, wow effect, and then you apply that to YouTube and show this data of like Hailey Bieber and whatever.
That's such a great, she's such a good example of somebody who's been done in crossover.
Yeah.
Will Smith was another one, pre-Smack, right? Like before that, he was brilliant. But you know what? He had the most viewed TikTok recently, right, with that dance.
Yeah.
And he was so good at humanizing himself, and so you use YouTube as a way to almost humanize yourself to an audience, and then they have both. They get the best of both. For us, it's just humanizing. We're not celebrities, really. We're just people that they've seen on YouTube. But for Haley, for Will, they're celebrities who are also accessible on YouTube, and Haley was in her bathroom doing all those interviews.
Right,
It's
exactly.
a perfect example. Yeah, he's right. Like that's the gold standard. Become famous and then do YouTube, or do YouTube to become famous, but then you'll never have paparazzi.
Alternatively, there should be a company that does what I would want to do, but the opposite, turn like YouTubers into celebrities. And I mean, people do that.
Well,
But
that's PR.
right. But like, yeah.
We want to give a special shout out to our media partners, Creatorland, Creator Logic, for supporting this episode, and special thanks for our car partner, Drive LA. Thank you all for your support.
No, but that actually makes a lot of sense because similarly, like with all these celebrities now, there is no relatability. So now even on Instagram, they get way less views than actually the creators who started
Because
yesterday.
they're not putting any effort into it.
They're not
right?
putting any effort.
You've had some meetings where they'd be like, it's just a time thing. Like she just doesn't have time.
Well, that's the thing too. A big part of what I do, I have to explain like the impact. Like, I'll text you if I can keep this in. But I was with, he was there actually. But I was with, in Cannes, and I was like, we were talking about doing YouTube because she's like a potential client, and I was like, that was a big thing for her. Was like, I don't necessarily have time, but I was like, okay, how much time are you, and this is something I talk to with a lot of celebrities or top talent that I'm trying to pitch, is like, how much time are you spending on like social media stuff or on like marketing in general, or like ads and whatever it is? And they're like, oh, this much time. Like they maybe have like 10 hours of marketing a month or whatever. It's like, okay, if you just took 20% of that time and put it into YouTube, you'd see so many more like effects from that if you work with the right people and use the right strategy.
And Ronaldo has been doing YouTube
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
It's been insane. So you're saying exactly the same thing. Like, all these celebrities can be that. If Ronaldo can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the one with no time and obviously all the money in the world. But again, relatability is so important.
Exactly.
So fantastic insights, like some stuff that maybe you guys haven't shared on a podcast. Or
Oh
show
yeah, this
before.
is all new. This is all new.
This has been so fun. We are we're coming to the end of the segment. There's a question we want to ask both of you guys. It's a little bit more in the business, but definitely about YouTube. So if you were the CEO of YouTube for a year, what would you do?
That's a good question.
Start with
You
Jordan.
go first.
I think Neil's doing a really good job.
Okay.
First of all,
Not making enemies.
No.
here.
But actually, I think he's doing a really good job. I know him, and I knew Susan pretty well, and they both are committed to creators. Like they put creators first, and I think that is. I would want to continue that tradition. I think if I was the CEO, having been doing content for many years, I would have a much more intimate understanding of what it takes and how creators could be boosted. But that's a very good question.
It is a good question.
What would be a simple change I would make? I think that the YouTube sometimes keeps a lot of the recommending engine kind of secret.
Yeah.
Like we don't
Black
know
box.
why. We don't really know why some things get pushed and other things don't, and how they measure audience satisfaction. And I think I would start building a more of a transparent relationship between all creators and exactly what drives views,
Right.
and how to be better. Like we all want to get better. I would love YouTube to help us get better, but
Because theoretically, that's helping them too.
Theoretically, it's helping them too, but the way it works now is people talk amongst each other, but you don't actually have YouTube helping you too much understand exactly what you as a channel could do to get better.
I think, I agree. Neil is doing a great job. I do think that the next CEO of YouTube, whenever that is, should be a creator. I think that just would make most sense, or like an ex-creator. There are a lot of like small things. I think, I don't know. It's really good. I like what you said about satisfaction. I think one thing for me would be adding the amount of creator liaisons there are for smaller creators.
Yeah,
because I think
great.
There's some feeling about kind of there being like an unfair advantage for bigger creators, which is not true, and we can break that down. But like in terms of just support, there might be some inequality, which again makes sense. If you have 20 million subscribers or 20,000 subscribers, the 20 million subscriber will need more help.
If Jimmy's video is restricted, it's going to be unrestricted real quick.
Right.
You know, and if somebody with 10,000 subscribers is restricted, they might not.
And
have
I think in
anyone to talk
terms
to
of
about
just
that.
like their,
Absolutely.
from a PR perspective, I think it would benefit them a lot to have more. Because right now, I think there's just one public one, Renee, and he does a great job. But like, I think if there were, if they had like 20 to 30 official creator liaisons that were all in charge of like smaller creators, like 1 million subs and less, I think that would be super, super, super beneficial. So that would, if I just had one thing, I would probably say that off the top of my mind.
So to be clear, creator liaison is like we're having an issue as a creator and we don't know how to resolve it, and they're the liaison that goes to the part of YouTube that you need the department
right.
that can help you with that thing.
They're like the
Like a
ambassador.
partner manager, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
partner manager, but as of now, I only know of SPMs, right? Like I don't. If you senior partner managers are the ones that handle more, maybe
Right.
creators with larger subscriber numbers, and then the smaller ones used to have partner managers because I did when we had under 1 million.
They still do. It's just they also had to let go a lot because of like AI
Right.
and things like that. But
yeah,
Which they just killed. AI.
I know,
monetization
yeah.
for AI.
Yeah.
I know that's huge
think it's
actually,
a good
and
thing.
I'm a big advocate for that.
Me too.
Because that was about to take over.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
have given that
Oh,
a
yeah.
year before there were no more human creators, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, and I hope that that's a tidal wave. I think that if we're talking about not just like decisions, not just YouTube's made, but that industries have made about AI, I think Neil just made one of the best
Yeah.
decisions that
I
a
also
CEO
think,
could possibly make.
Keeping that, especially obviously too, as you saw with like the actors strike like a few years ago and things like that. With if traditional Hollywood moves more toward AI, and again, I don't necessarily think it will, but obviously like traditional content is a lot more formatted and it's easier to replicate with AI. And if YouTube had an advantage on like real people, I think that would
That's
just
true.
be super
That's
Drop
beneficial.
the slop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop the slop.
Thank you guys. This was
Awesome.
fun.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
guys.
so
This
much
is
for being
This is our first
awesome.
podcast together. We did one with Dar,
cool.
all three of us.
Yeah, I saw that podcast. Silas was so young that
She
time.
was-
All right.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you
Very
guys
much.
so
You're
much
welcome.
for all your time.
Thanks so
and
much.
Being here.
Thank
We're
you.
Super awesome.
Thank you.